Zach, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
For nominations, or for election of officers, do we have to do a motion to nominate, or someone nominate, open nominations or close it, or?
I mean, we can accept nominations and then vote on.
But we don't have to like close nominations?
I know, no, I don't think
All
so.
right, I think that's the procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn it on.
What's that?
The video. Oh, what's that? Oh, you're turning this on. Oh, the recorder. Yeah.
Well, there's a recorder now?
Well, they might get it better here. Make sure to.
Oh, that's fine. I've never seen that before.
Redundancy for the redundancy.
Never. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
They don't usually hear. I think Mary Ann did last time. Or maybe she did during the subcommittee.
She did during the subcommittee.
Yeah.
She didn't do it during
You're welcome.
these things. You're more welcome to.
Time here alone.
How are you? Is it redundant?
You know him? Yeah. Hey, Ken, what do I do? What is it? Do it after the meeting minutes? Should we do a public hearing?
Yeah, immediately after.
Or after the public hearing? Let's do it after the
Oh.
public hearing.
Yeah.
Everybody home for all that?
They'll be here. They'll be here. So that's good.
Hey, Mark. How are you? Good, thank you.
You know where our house is? We had watched a coyote come from Denny's and all the way down in front of Joey's.
Should we have that to be a good bag?
Yeah.
Scary enough for me.
Yeah, right?
It makes sense. It does.
I had to drive up to Bay City today.
Are you serious?
The roads were so bad. I hope that it's not a preview of what we've got coming tomorrow, because they're predicting tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow I have a wintery mix. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to Saginaw. I had an in-court mediation that started at noon. I hit Saginaw about 12:45, and rain is hitting my windshield and freezing.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was looking at
This
this.
is not good.
I did that one today.
It's so
That is
muddy.
not good.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, he went to go Sunday, fly down for a cruise from Monday down in Florida.
They still own
left
it.
Sunday,
They live
and
in,
they put like a
Las Vegas.
4-hour delay in his flight. Somehow he ended up, because he went through MBS to Chicago.
they're great.
I'm like, MBS first, always go straight flight, especially when you have a cruise, like always go straight flight. It's like,
Lots and lots of
that make it easier. I'm like, no, man, I never ever, unless I'm going to Chicago, is the only way I'm going to be
Right,
So,
right.
I hate Chicago.
The kid was
It's seriously terrible. It really is.
Yeah.
Alexander.
And so,
remember Franco. They used to walk her dog with the big truck. She did, right, Alexandria? We used to see her down by like Silver Lake Park.
Yeah.
Did you leave 4 feet between your car?
I don't care.
Did you not notice that when he bought the?
And then on top of that, they have to worry about the motorcycles in between, because that's legal.
Right.
They were not built for the kidding.
No,
Yeah, they just ride
I
back
didn't
They
get
ride
that
right
vibe
between
from
them.
him at all. I think they got themselves in a bad spot with that house. Because when he first started working on it, he called me,
Right in between.
and then he was like, oh, you used to play hockey?
7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty approval of the agenda.
I'd like to amend it. Can we get the public hearing after the call to the public?
Yeah, a little unclear there, so yeah, that makes sense. There'll be a public hearing that'll start after the first call to the public. Any other changes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Do we
Any
need a
opposed?
motion? Sorry.
Oh, yep, sorry.
I'll make the motion to
I'll
approve
support.
the agenda
Yeah.
as amended.
And I support that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved as amended. Approval of the minutes for November 11th, 2025. Regular meeting and public hearing.
Move to approve the minutes?
I'll support.
Motion and support to approve the regular meeting and public hearing minutes for November 11th, 2025. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Call to the public for any items on the agenda. Go ahead.
Ryan Raymond from 11374 Belfort Drive. In regards to the wanting to increase the size of the structure, the adjacent structure, to 1,200 square feet. I know we have the regulations in place for 800 square feet, and I think we should stick to that. I don't think we have any other structures in our neighborhood that are 1,200 square feet. That's a pretty big building for that lot size that we have in there. So I'm not opposed to adjacent structure or extra structures, but I think 1,200 is too big for what we have there. So,
Thank you for the comment. Any other comment? Hearing none. We'll be moving on to the public hearing. Per the Planning Commission bylaws, I do have a conflict of interest because I own a neighboring property for this application, so I will abstain from any hearing, deliberations, and voting, and Kevin will take over, and I'll leave the room, and Kevin, just let me know when you're finished with both public hearing and new business, item 1.
All right. Okay, I'll get that passed around. Give me 1 second here, guys. I need to bring up the public hearing.
Do we have to adjourn the meeting to?
Yes, which I will do in a second here.
Okay.
I'm just bringing this up, and then
Okay. No
we'll
pressure,
make a motion.
no pressure.
So sorry, guys. They didn't include in our packet the public hearing draft. Did you guys get that? Yeah.
I don't see.
You guys didn't get it either? All right, I gotta try to find it here.
Oh, is it on the back of the agenda?
There it is. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, first, can I get a motion to close to adjourn this, close the meeting to open the public meeting?
So moved.
Support.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read the public hearing agenda here.
we need to vote? Sorry.
Oh,
Kevin.
yeah, sorry, we need to open, can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
We have a motion and a support.
And a support?
So-
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so Tyrone Township Planning Commission Public Hearing Agenda, December 9th, 2025, 7 PM. The notice below was published in the Tri-County Times on Sunday, November 23, 2025, in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given to the Tyrone Township Planning Commission. Will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, beginning at 7 PM at the Tyrone Township Hall, 8420 Runyon Lake Road, Fenton, Michigan, 48430. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments regarding the following requests. A request by Mark and Rita Marinowski for an increase in the permitted detached accessory building floor area up to a maximum of 1,200 square feet. 1,200 square feet requested, subject to compliance with the percent lot coverage, placement, and height standards in Article 20, Schedule of Regulations in Section 21.02.G.1.A-B of the zoning ordinance. The property is located at 11403 Balfour Drive, Fenton, Michigan, 48430, parcel ID 4704-04-101-1052. Zoned R1, single-family residential. Additional information is available at the Tyrone Township Planning and Zoning Department, 8420 Runyon Lake Road, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Individuals with disabilities requiring auxiliary aids or services should contact Tyrone Township Clerk at 810-629-8631 at least 7 days before the meeting. John Ward, Chairman, Tyrone Township Planning Commission. The public hearing agenda, we have opened the public hearing, reading the public notice, review the application, receive public comments, Planning Commission and planner comments, and then close the public hearing. Let's see a pen real quick. So that being stated, the public hearing is open. We've read the public notice, and let's go ahead and review the application. Can we get the applicants to step forward?
Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is on or not?
So what is, tell us a little bit more about what's going on here. As
So
far
my
as,
wife and I purchased the house in July.
okay,
The idea was when we purchased it, we left a piece of property with acreage. We bought the property with, not getting too much into it, but she had just different needs for her life now than, what we were used to. So upon moving, it was kind of a requirement that I was going to get an accessory building to put my boat in and get my car out of there and just put my stuff out of the yard, but back in the barn where it belongs. Previous home I left had a 30 by 40. And that's kind of what I applied for. I thought, actually, I bought the house not knowing that you amended that to 1,200 square feet. I bought it knowing that it was 800, and she read it more carefully, came in to talk to some people at the township, and they said that things had been amended. So that's kind of what we're here for today, is the application for 1,200 square feet. And I know I can't address them directly, but the difference between 30 and 20 by 27, which is 810 square feet, is 12 more feet off the back.
right.
It's not as big as people think. It really isn't. A 3-car garage is, 25 by 33.
So what again was the size that you were proposing again?
A 30 by 40.
30 by 40. Just wanted to validate. Do you guys have any questions?
How tall is the building gonna be?
10-foot walls.
10-foot walls,
Yeah.
what pitch?
412 is on the prints.
412? Okay, I don't, what feet that's
That
on
was
here?
the peak, I think, at 16 feet,
Yeah, I'm gonna get over to property here.
which is 3 feet less than what the house is. applied for, through the county road commission for access off of Crestwood. And that's where the access will be,
What's this down here?
yes.
Yep.
The barn position, I don't know if you have what I have in front of you, but the barn is to be positioned between the row of trees on my left and the single pine tree that's in the, kind of in the middle of the backyard.
So back here is
Yes,
where it's
yeah.
gonna be, and then you're
Yes.
gonna have a septic right here.
Yes, that's correct. The septic is there, yeah. And when I talked to the personnel at the county, the only way they were going to, well, I can't really put it next to the garage because I'm encroaching on the front wall of the house, right? And then if I come this way with it, then I'm getting onto the easement. So logically, that was the only place it can go. And to have the driveway where it's going to be, I had to be 120 plus feet away from the center line of Belfour.
So that's gonna be over here for your,
Yes,
for your drive
exactly.
area,
Yep.
okay?
So there's a row of trees directly to the north. or
Right,
to
right
the
here,
west, too.
sorry,
Yeah,
right here,
yeah,
here and then here.
Right.
Yep.
And I've talked to the neighbors, and they're not overly concerned about it at all.
Okay.
So I get the fact that some people are going to be concerned, I understand that.
Are the trees staying?
Yes.
Okay. Is the driveway gravel or you gonna
Well,
pave
right
it?
now, it's not anything.
Well, right,
Yeah.
when you construct it.
Yeah, when it's constructed, the county approved the gravel
Gravel,
driveway.
okay.
If the township wishes, I can change that to something more suitable to their needs too.
Where are you, the items that you're gonna stick in there, recognizing the tools are, you're probably not stored outdoors, but are you storing the stuff outside right now and you're just looking to move it indoors?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not, I don't like it, but, I'm sure other people don't like it either.
right.
It's an expensive passport that's sitting outside for weather.
Recognizing you came from a 1,200 square foot barn,
Yes.
would you be able to squeeze into an 800 square foot barn
No,
or?
because the tongue of the trailer and the boat, and even with the motor tilted all the way down, I'm right at 27 feet
Okay.
plus. I mean, I couldn't even fold the trailer tongue in to make it fit.
Okay.
Alright, so, guys, I put a,
And again, it's strictly just storage for my boat and one plastic car and a toolbox, and I'm not using it for business purposes. I'm a few years away from retirement. If I have to do anything in retirement, then I break out a sweat and it's time to do something different. So,
guys, I printed these out because I thought this was really necessary. What this is Township Zoning Ordinance 36, pages 21 and 21-10. Oh, man. Get over here to it. What I want to do is, I just want you guys each to go over. Really, it's C 1 through 5 here, and yeah, C 1 through 5. And just see what, like, if you have any questions, base your questions around this ordinance here. Let me actually bring it up here, guys. Oops. We're just gonna do it from here.
This went through the ZBA already, right? Or no, comes to us and then back to ZBA?
That I don't know. No, this is gonna be an approval directly from us. This is not gonna be,
ZBA hasn't
Yeah.
seen this or anything?
no. This is gonna be a direct approval from us. I'm trying to figure out where we're at.
the garage doors on the barn will be two of them, two 12x9s. They're going to be close to 100 feet away from the easement on Crestler. So I'm really not encroaching on anything. And in the barn itself, the east wall of the barn that's facing the house is 66 feet away from the house. And as far as the easements are concerned with the neighbors, the side lot is 10 feet, I believe, and I'm 17, or it's 15 feet, I'm 17 feet from that. And the west side of the property, or what's the front yard, but there's two front yards, it's hard to describe. But in the backyard of the row of pine trees, it would be the west part of that is, I guess the setback is 10 feet, and again, I'm 17 feet from that.
Said you're 17 feet from it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm 17 feet from the north end of the property, and I'm also 17 feet from the west side of where the barn should be.
There we go. So I just want to make sure that we're really following the ordinance. This is what I have up here. This is what I have in my hand here. So as far as potential for the generation of nuisance factors such as traffic, parking noise, vibration, glare, odors, fumes, electrical interference, or hazards to any greater extent than which is usually compatible with the permitted uses of in the district. Do you guys see any issues? Just want to start. I'm just going to start reading them off and going through the area, or going through this. And then also, I'll bring this up. I don't have, because this isn't my computer, I don't have the drainage of the lot. I went out there and you know, you probably see me on your camera or whatever.
No,
but okay. Don't tell people that. No, I went out there just to kind of like look from the road.
Yeah, you could have knocked on the door, but already with that.
I don't want to creep. Just to kind of see the area as far as like drainage is concerned. Did the county have any issues?
No.
Drainage?
No.
I mean, I didn't see any.
No, I think, her name was Kim, I think it is.
Yeah.
That came up. Yeah, no, she had no issues at all. Her concern was the location of the new culvert going in. She just wanted to make sure it fell within their guidelines. It was 120 feet from the center line of Balfour, and it does.
Did you already perk that septic?
Pardon?
You said you have a septic right there.
Yes, yeah, well, the home was built in 87,
Okay.
so it was inspected.
Oh, you put the septic there? Or excuse me, it's already there? No, you haven't. Okay.
Yeah, I just bought the house in July with my wife.
Okay. Where's the septic now?
It's right where it is on the.
Oh, so like right here. That's what.
Yeah, the field is there. For the life of me, I don't know why they put the tank over by the deck.
Okay, so you're going to be moving.
I'm not moving anything.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I just wanted to.
I think the gravel drive probably helps with the drainage.
Yeah.
It's permeable. So,
Yep.
yeah, makes
For
sense.
sure.
And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to, and I know that the county had said the same thing, that if I just left the grass, because the amount of traffic that I'm going to be, it's just going to be my pickup truck and the boat. That's going to come out of there maybe twice a week. It's not used right in the store. I'm not building anything, I'm not doing anything that is needed a place for my stuff.
Do we have any pictures or anything to look at what it's supposed to look like? Because that's number 5, compatibility of the appearance.
Yep.
I might have, I have
Here, let's get back to
prints
this.
from I don't think they show, I can pull up something to give you an idea. I got colors here also that we're going to, as far as that's the other thing. The roof's going to be dark brown to match the brown in the house. The wainscoting is going to be dark brown to complement the roof. And then the main structure itself is going to be like the sheet, they call it a taupe, I think it is, or it's clay actually, which is the same color as the siding on the house.
And I'm gonna kind of tag on to that question a little bit. I'm gonna play dumb here. I assume there's no HOA right in that area.
No,
Okay.
no, it's safe. Yeah, better safe than sorry.
Right.
I can show you these if you want. I mean, it's up to you if you want to see them. So I might have something here that looks very similar to what I want to do, if you have a second.
There's 5 or 6 homes back in that area that, I don't know if they're over 800 square foot, but they're probably pretty close, that are on the back of the properties, similar to what he is. So being harmonious with the area, probably not in that general vicinity, but in that vicinity, there are other structures that I mean, I can go pull tape if you want, but they're probably bigger than 800 square feet
Well, I know, so,
in his area,
Right.
down Balfour Road.
I know that generally speaking, when it comes to accessory structures, and I think that Mario can attest that, we were changing the accessory structure to 1,200 square feet, correct? That
There
was
are
on-
discussions to consider.
We were having discussions on that. 'Cause
But it'll factor in, for exactly how you mentioned, like the characteristics
Right.
of the area, whether it's
Sure.
compatible. But also a big issue would be the lot size
Yeah,
and where, and how that is with comparison.
So that's gonna be,
It does look
Structure,
like
that's
the,
gonna be the
based on the
waistline
lot
of the roof.
size, although it's not submitted as part of the
Answer your
application,
question.
show her.
that with this structure plus the existing home, at least it would still comply with the lot coverage requirement, here at 30%. And I guess one other thing, just to point out in terms of compatibility, one of the things you should always consider is whether the orientation of the existing structures and making sure, like, especially since this is a corner lot, you wouldn't want to create something that creates additional activity within someone's front yard. But all the houses along Belfour front on Belfour, and all the houses on Nora front on Nora. So this Pressler Drive, this access drive, they usually function as a side lot for both. You don't have a house on Pressler, the front door facing there. So basically, the neighbor to the south of this, they have their access drive on Pressler, and their front door doesn't face that way. So that's,
and that was the part of the consideration with the county. She came and looked at that to make sure my headlights, if I was leaving or coming and going, wasn't gonna be a nuisance to any of the neighbors. So again, the drive off of Pressler is primarily kind of splitting the both properties that are on Pressler on the south side of it.
and while it's not a requirement and it's not something that probably applicant can control, the neighbor to the south at least currently has large evergreen trees. So that would help with the
Right.
screening, but once again, that's current conditions, that could change in the future. And there's no requirement for either party to have it. But just in terms of current conditions and compatibility, it seems like it could be appropriate. I guess so just information from the consider.
Yeah, just kind of reiterate.
Reiterate.
Yeah, thank you.
I got you.
The depth, the difference between 810 square feet.
Right, it's only 12 feet.
It's 12 feet off the back.
Yeah.
So even then, if I pulled it closer to the road, I still have more than enough space there to put 12 feet off the back. It's not going to really be a nuisance to anybody. I mean, for the most part, you can't even see it unless you're on Pressler.
Because of the tree coverage
Because of the house, too.
in the house, yeah. Because that is right in line with the house. You're not-
Yes, yeah.
For our,
And I did talk to the neighbors that are involved in this, kind of the ones that are going to be affected by it, and none of them had any concerns or issues about it. The gentleman with all the pine trees to the west is actually kind of like, his words were, "I'm jealous because I want to do the same thing." So,
yeah, I'd imagine a couple of your neighbors might do the same thing here in the next couple
well,
of years.
and that's, I kind of feel bad. I know the gentleman here brought it up, that a lot of the structures that were built with that 800 square foot in mind. And the part I feel bad about is that now it's a possibility that 1,200 is being allowed, you know, that they might ask for variance to add on to theirs. I don't know, you know.
Do we have a height variance for something like this? I mean,
think you
the
do. I think
flips-
it's 20 feet at the peak, but with the 412 and the 10-foot walls, it's only going to be 16 feet.
Right, but what I'm saying is you could go the other route, do 800 square feet and make it 20 feet tall, and then your neighbor's got really something to look at.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
don't-
mean?
that's
Like,
what I don't
you
want
gotta,
to do,
yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
you got two options there.
Yeah.
I'd be
Well,
leaning more
even
towards
the-
this.
Well, the 800 square feet wouldn't let me fit the boat in there. The tongue of the trailer would stick out
Right,
beyond the garage door. Again, I like to keep a nice, neat looking property, and I know we moved in and we've got a couple of dumpsters in the driveway, and but, you know, when it's all said and done, I think most people would be surprised at how nice and neat everything will be when it's done.
And you got your stuff tucked away, not out in the yard,
Not
the
out in the
tarps
yard.
and stuff.
Yeah, there's 2 lawnmowers in the yard, about,
Yeah,
you know, garbage cans, anything else you can think of, and the garage is just packed,
Right.
toolboxes and, you know.
All right, does anybody have any more questions?
Guess the only question I got is, so really the only view you have would be from this Pressler Road, correct?
Of the structure?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's gonna be 2 garage doors?
Yes, 2 12x9s.
What would you think about making the front of that a little nicer looking, like to match your house, like rather than pole barn siding? I mean, just so it matches the
The character.
The character.
Follow. So 1 garage door, 1 large?
No, the garage doors are fine. What I'm saying is rather than using pole barn siding on that side,
like barn metal?
yeah, the barn metal
like wood
or something.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to any of that.
Well, I'm just asking, I mean, for cosmetics, so it matches the neighborhood, you know what I mean?
Sure, I mean, if it pleases, you know, the township, I could.
I just think it would have a better effect for I mean, Garrett, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be, like I said, harmonious with the area, that's probably not a bad route.
I can even go 1 step farther, the wainscot on the front, I can get a faux brick, a half brick siding to put up as a wainscot on the front, and then vinyl siding up around the garage doors up to the seat.
So
I
it
mean,
looks
to
less
match your house
industrial.
or whatever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that, I like that.
And that would be consistent with the other accessory structures in the area.
Yeah, I haven't been down to see the other, you know, I can see on a map like who has it.
And the ones in the neighborhood, they do
Are they wrapped in siding?
Most of them are like materials of the house and like colors also.
Like a vinyl wrap or something
Yeah, or
like that,
or if the house is T111, their structure's T111.
Right, like the old wood style?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that either. I mean, personally, I don't care for barn metal. I mean, obviously you get them as a kit, right? But if you can do that where you can match the house a little bit to be, that word again, more harmonious,
I'm not opposed to any
so
suggestion
be
you
it.
have.
Yeah,
Like I said, I don't wanna be the blight on the neighborhood. I wanna be conducive to, you know, to the neighborhood, you know.
are you going just dry storage here, or is this gonna get electrical, like maybe
No,
a
I don't have
heater?
electrical.
You're gonna have everything going on in there, probably like a,
No water, just electrical,
okay,
yeah.
foamed up or maybe insulated something?
No, it'd be, what I'd like to do is foam panels
Yeah.
on the ceiling, you know, just to keep any, if I have any heat in there at all.
Okay.
But I don't plan on spending much time out there, you
Okay.
know, in the cold.
Cement floor, or are you gonna just keep it hard?
No,
packed?
it's gonna be cement floor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with what Bill said, that, I mean,
Any exterior lighting you're gonna have on the outside?
I haven't thought about it. My wife's not a fan of exterior lighting like that. I mean, it just draws too much attention, and I think it'd become more of a nuisance to people.
Well, that's
Yeah.
exactly why I
Yeah, that's what I was
asked.
thinking too.
Yeah.
I mean, that neighborhood is dark, I mean, at night, I mean, if the moon's not out, you're not gonna see much, you know, your hand in front of your own face. I think any kind of lighting would be counterproductive.
All right, anything else, guys?
For the public
Let's go
portion.
let's go take some public comments here, guys. So thank you so much, we appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. All right, now let's go ahead and move to receive some public comments on this issue. Go ahead.
I appreciate your comments about having it fit into the neighborhood, because I worry about when we hear the term barn or pole barn, and we've got a subdivision, now we've got, if all of a sudden we had a bunch of 1,200 square foot pole barns in the subdivision, it's not very, I mean, we've been here 35 years. Originally, there was intent to have a HOA. We moved in, we couldn't have any permanent adjacent structures or fences. There was never an HOA formed, so gradually fences and permanent structures went up. And so that's where we're at today. So I think it's important that if there's a structure going up, it needs to match the existing house, so that it isn't a barn. It's an outside structure that looks like the existing structures that are there, so.
Okay.
I'd just be mindful of that, because when you start going 1,200 square feet, you start thinking pole barn, and that's not a pole barn community, so.
Can I ask a question? Would you prefer that it not have metal siding on it? Would you prefer a different decor on the outside of it?
I think it just needs, I think it just needs to match what's out there. You know, you've seen the other.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what they kind of do, they kind of match the existing.
Yeah.
So-
I appreciate you, this.
I know, we haven't met, I know you just.
Yeah, that's
moved in.
okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk after, yeah. No, I agree with that, they want vinyl siding, and I can even add some brick to the face of it, because there's a little bit of brick on the house. You know, just to kind of pull it out and match it a little bit, and I have no problem with any of that. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to be the guy in the neighborhood that, you know, everybody, I want to be the one that makes things better,
Well,
you know?
it is a corner lot, so it is fairly visible when you're driving through there, because that side really isn't, you know, you're hitting on two sides, but on the other side, you're pretty wide open. So,
Yeah, Preston doesn't get a lot of traffic, so to
Yeah.
speak, but there's
but
enough.
when you're going up and down Belfour from the south side, you can see into that pretty easily, so.
Oh, in between Kevin's house and my house in the back there, yeah.
So, yeah, the size is one thing, but it also needs to fit into the neighborhood, so.
Okay.
That's all I'd say.
Thank you for your comment.
That's what we're here.
And I normally would stop this, but I really like when neighbors get together and kind of can talk things out.
That's what we have.
It means a lot.
Right, I mean, everybody's got concerns, and,
Right.
you know, and I have, what I have, I got no problem with any of this. I mean, this is, I want to make everybody happy, I want to please everybody, I don't want to make it unsightly,
Right.
you know, so.
All right. We have any other comments? Oh, go ahead, Scott. Oh,
Just a quick one.
Sure.
I was just concerned, so I'm gonna get my name out there first. Scott, Future Point Lake Road. Where's the well? And you said the septic field's back over here.
Septic field would be down here.
Now, do we have a backup there because it's a corner lot? Just make sure there's a backup area for the septic field.
Well, there's, from where the septic is at now.
That's just a question.
No, the property itself is 231 feet deep.
Yeah.
The septic, the field starts about the middle of the deck in the back and goes to the west,
Yeah.
and it's 50 feet.
Yeah, I just.
So there's another 100 feet that direction.
Back,
Yeah, and the well itself is actually in the front yard between the big tree.
Like right here?
Yeah.
Or over here?
Well,
Okay.
it has to be
Right over
50
there,
foot
yeah.
away,
50 foot away, yeah.
no matter what, otherwise it'd be bad.
Yeah, right kind of where your cursor's at is where the well piece is at.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, my only concern would be that there's kind of very specific information provided. So it's not just left kind of an open, kind of a blank check as far as what the final product will look like. The gentleman sounds like he's trying to, you know, be a good Samaritan and do a good job. I know it's in a different county, but on Bennett Lake Road at the corner of that and Jennings, I can't
I know
imagine
what you're talking about.
the annoyance to those folks who have houses around there where they build this giant structure to, I think they have a construction business, but, you know, I don't know what sort of vetting occurred before that. But I would just hope that it would be, that it be very, very clear as to what would be done. I liked your comments about trying to match the, you know, the appearance of the house so it doesn't look like a barn. And, you know, I live in the neighborhood around the block, and, you know, we just want to keep the neighborhood nice, and, you know, thus far, there hasn't been any problem. So,
Thank you for your
that's all I
comment.
want to say.
The only other thing I'd like to say is, so I know it's R1, right? That's where we're at. So like LK1, I mean, houses are slammed together, but neighbors always complain about people having pontoons, boats, jet skis, everything outside. And these lots are smaller, but we still allow the 1,200 square foot variance for people to build bigger structures to house those things. So we got, bigger lots that, yeah, we can give them some variance, like, hey, make it look like the house, or, harmonious, and then they can move forward with it. But I guess what I'm getting at is, if we're allowing this at lake lots to help get things that are outside storage inside, so it's not a nuisance, then I feel like we're on the same path with something of this nature, whether it's 800 or 1200. Like, if you want to tag on, yeah, let's make it look like the house, then so be it. But if we're letting lake lots do it, then I feel like, these people, these homeowners, they own campers, they own boats, bass boats, whatever. Like, it's better for them to be, under shelter than to be exposed, as I say, so.
All right, so back to public comments. Anyone else? All right.
One more thing, there's no way in God's green earth is my wife going to allow me to make that yard a mess. So just letting you know that as tough as everybody is here,
Are we married to the same person?
It's just not going to happen. She's not going to wake up and look at her door wall and see something unsightly in the yard. She's made that perfectly clear to me many times.
Sounds like a good wife.
I do have one other question. So as part of the approval process, is the finished product supposed to be shown so you know what the finishes are on it? Or how does that work?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Well, we've talked about what the outside or we'd like it to look like. Is it part of the approval process that when the plans are submitted, the finishes are put on that?
That all depends on the motion that's made. It all depends on the motion that's made, from what I understand. So if, for instance, the motion states that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it has all of these things that, remain, like, the fascia, brick, with like materials to the house, et cetera, then, then yeah.
But I mean, when the plans are submitted for approval, is that on the plans?
Yeah, so, if approved, if any structure is constructed, they will have to abide by the building code, and the building code would require detailed drawings for how it's constructed, the materials used, and that sort of thing. So every building permit will require that, regardless of the size or location. And then as the current chair mentioned, any conditions of the approval will be, any application will be reviewed to make sure it's in compliance with their conditions listed here tonight.
Okay.
One more thing. If approved, the process is going to start pretty much late December, early January. And as far as the siding on the front wall facing, if it's vinyl, I'm not sure I can get that up in January, February without it cracking and splitting. If anybody's ever cut a vinyl siding when it's cold,
yeah,
it doesn't cut very well.
It
doesn't cut at all. It
Yeah.
shatters. There might be a small time lapse between finishing that front facade. And again, we have to talk about the materials, because I'm not sure what direction you guys are going to go in here. So as far as all four sides or just the front.
Okay. Any other public comments? All right, hearing none. We can move to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Okay, we have Zach making the motion and Sally supported it. Can I get, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll go back to regular agenda here. And let's go ahead and start with new business number 1. Aronofsky request for increase in permitted accessory structure size. If you guys have anything extra to say, any more discussion, if you don't, I can entertain a motion.
So my issue, I think the compatibility is probably our biggest lingering issue.
Okay.
And I can see two ways we could do it. We could stick a bunch of conditions on it, you know, something along the lines of it has to be compatible with the surrounding structures in terms of appearance and things like that. But logistically, I would be a little bit concerned since we don't have, you know, sort of a design drawing that shows what the building is gonna look like. I'd be concerned that we would be setting up for an approval where then there's a question about what exactly is and isn't compatible with the surrounding structures. So my lean would be to probably table this until we get an updated application that, you know, shows the materials that would be used and kind of gives us the more specific design of the building. But if you think there's a better way to approach it, I'm open to that.
So I went back and I looked at, I'll kind of give you, you know, my hot take on it. I went back and I looked at the number, just the sheer number of these sorts of approvals, right? Which kind of brought us to the whole accessory structure and modifying that, which is, you know, what, old business number one. And I noticed a trend that 1200 was there was a reason why, you know, we were having the discussion around 1200, because that just seemed to be just what everybody was doing, right? And there's just so many of these that happened. So I asked Ross today, I said, hey, you know, how many of these? And he's like, I want to say the words he gave were hundreds. So as far as approving these sort of things, so it doesn't. I mean, this is not that far off as far as, and that's just my comments. Not far off. There's lots of these. So I'm just putting the information out there, and I'm just going to let you guys decide what you guys want. So.
But and I agree. I don't necessarily, at least based on what I understand, have an issue with the size. Yeah, I think it's more, from my perspective, this particular neighborhood.
Right, the neighborhood. Yeah, sure.
To make it fit, you know, it almost seems like we have to be a little more specific here. But
I seem to think he could tell us what he's gonna put on the front, and we put that into motion.
Okay. Do you think it's like a subcommittee thing, like after that, or do you think that, you know, it's I'm just spitballing here. Do you think this is you know, we put it in the motion, they take a look at it over in the planning department, and then
I think the subcommittee could vote on it.
Subcommittee could vote on it, okay.
yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is hold them up unnecessarily.
That's kind of, yeah.
So, you know.
Right.
Right.
What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm just not sure how we make sure it is harmonious
Without seeing it.
without somebody seeing it.
Right.
If it doesn't have to be this group, that's fine. If the subcommittee can do it, I don't know the process anymore. The way we did it 20 years ago apparently isn't the way we do it now.
I think he's gonna put vinyl siding up, so I don't have an issue with it. If you want, I can drive by it in a couple months.
Yeah.
It would be in the details, and I would suggest that utilize particular terminologies, horizontal vinyl siding above the foundation wall, and the use of brick material that matches the existing house's structure on the foundation wall, because I believe the applicant was okay with that.
Sure, so are you talking vinyl on all four sides?
That's up to the commission. I would think at a minimum to make it, you know, compatible with the neighborhood and have it visible from the street, because the two homes on the other side of Prescott, they do have, on the gable ends of their garages, they have horizontal vinyl siding. So.
True.
So actually, if he did it, then it'd match it exactly. And you'd say horizontal vinyl siding is similar in scale to other houses along.
Yeah, 4 inch,
Yeah, 4 inch.
I mean, really, the worst part is you're just building it a little differently. You have to sheet the whole thing, and if you care, it'll be built better if you do it that way. If you sheet it and then put siding up, you're gonna get better building than just in metal. I mean, if it was me and I was building it, that's how I would do it. If that makes you feel better.
OSB, house wrap, outside, and, you know, then you have a real garage.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if we can put that in the literature, then sure. I think he seems like a pretty straight shooter, so.
Okay.
I'll come by in March and check it out.
Yeah, these are my neighbors, so the last thing I wanna do is make the neighbor angry. I don't wanna do that, because I gotta live with them, but I gotta live there too, so.
Right.
It's a very nice neighborhood. My wife and I really like it there. We wanna fit in right, so.
I would normally take a shot at a motion, but I'm concerned my lack of knowledge as far as the construction terminology would make it not a great motion, so not to put anybody on the spot, but
That's what we got Garrett for.
that's right.
I thought Sally was gonna take this one.
We could tag team.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the 1,200 square foot with making the exterior of the building harmonious, whether it's matching the vinyl 4-inch horizontal siding and it was white brick or any type of brick on the front of the home to, match with the new dwelling. And I will come look at it.
I welcome you. Come on over. Bring your fishing rod, let's go.
That's fine. I could do that.
Yeah, so just to clarify, vinyl on all four sides and some kind of brick to dress up the front and horizontal siding to match the other gables on the other garages.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I save you some money too, because now I can do the labor myself.
There you go.
I'll support the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed.
Okay.
Now, Terry, you got all that, right?
Sorry.
Okay.
She's still
Sorry.
right.
I apologize. I haven't seen you in a while, so I was kind of, why not?
Yeah, could you please, Scott? Thank you.
So at this point, I could,
Yeah, you-
building permit and go forward in that direction. The Midwest Pole Barns is actually doing the structure around the Saginaw.
Okay.
And they do well over 100 pole barns a year, so they're pretty good at what.
Is this your shameless plug?
Well,
It's not a commercial.
No, it's not, but I just wanted to, it's not me doing it, so just so you know, yeah. I'm having professionals do it.
Okay.
So, at this point, what's next for me, applying for the building permit, or?
Yeah, you're gonna want, like, moving forward, you're gonna want drawings, elevations
Okay,
sketched out. For something like this, you can probably get away with just like a sheet of paper like that.
yep,
And just do all your elevations, scale it, and then, just label what's going
I
on.
submitted to Kevin, the one where it shows the structure itself, the trusses, that piece of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Right here.
Yes.
Let's make sure we get that back to
It
him.
doesn't have elevation
Yep.
drawings on it, but it shows the post with the.
Yeah, layout and stuff like that, yeah.
Oh,
Here, you can keep that if you want, I don't know if you have any use for it or not.
Oh, we'll get it back to you here. Oh,
I have two copies. Thank you, sir. You got it.
pass that down. Thank you, sorry.
All right, so I will, I'll get some type of elevation, some type of sketch for you and submit that to the building department. We're good then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the baton back to John here. Let him start on new business number 2.
New business item number 2, data center discussion. So this is a topic that we had brought up at the last planning commission regular meeting during miscellaneous business, and the board has set a moratorium on developments of data centers. And now we are tasked with creating an ordinance, revising current ordinances for this. So Mario is going to be helping us with this ordinance.
Awesome.
So this is just the first of many meetings, so I think, Mario, can you maybe give us a overview, and then we can maybe go around and each planning commission member can share their thoughts on this topic and our process?
So one aspect I think to keep in mind is that we have to, in order to make sure that the viability and the standing of the ordinance is going to be sound, is we treat this like any other use where there are certain characteristics of it that are going to need an additional level of review and standards created for it. And I'll be honest, I've just started my research in them, but I will say that this is a pressing topic throughout the state. I have other colleagues in my firm who have already started looking at this, and we have different other clients that also have concerns. So the key aspect of that is that we've been gathering model ordinances. There are a lot throughout the country. But one thing I've recently gained some knowledge on is just that, while there are hot topics here, and I'm probably one of the most the public's familiar with is one down there's one down in Saline near University of Michigan. That one looks like it's going forward. And forgive me, I think the one out near Howell, they just recently said they were going to pull back on that.
Correct.
And I believe it or not, that's part of their strategies. They actually tend to approach multiple places and see which ones are willing to participate in how that approval process can go. Obviously, the applicants can go for be a little bit more aggressive in their stance, but I think that approach and that consideration would be based on what we have on what a community has on the books with regards to that ability. So, a good thing is that we've been looking at solar, and we've been addressing the zoning ordinance in terms of the location for that. And so I think that'll be pretty much tandem in a similar approach. So we've been looking at things like location and confirming that the amount of land we don't necessarily zone, because I'm more of the approach of making sure that the plan first is the one that has to protect the township by ensuring that you're considering. Because that's what happened. I don't have all the details on Saline, but I do know that they actually went into a lawsuit and then they lost because they were found, I believe that their ordinance was found to be exclusionary. So you have to create a path for them, at least in terms of, but you don't necessarily have to lay down the red carpet. But to make it viable and make sure it's not exclusionary, that's where we make sure that the master plan has a proper location. We don't necessarily, I'm of the opinion you don't have to rezone it to that. That can be one of the steps in the process. But location will be one thing you're considering. And then and I'll have to look into the other criteria that are specific to these things that are an issue. Number one will be buffering, to make sure there's enough buffer on the perimeter. It does sound like a majority of them actually prefer and they have that, so I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. But then the other thing will be the utility use. And unfortunately, it does sound like it's another one of those situations where the state gets involved and they might have solutions to make sure that, have solutions for dealing with the utility use, but utilities are going to be an issue, and making sure that, I would say, make sure that they have no negative impact on the existing grid, and find some way to quantify that. We're going to have to find that out. Then the cooling seems to be an aspect of this. It seems like a lot of the issues initially were about the cooling of these, because they're basically just huge computers that do need to be cooled. I believe at one point, some of them were proposing they'd have their own wells, and they were willing to do that, but, what's the impact on the aquifer in the local area? That's going to be an issue. So another aspect, it seems, is that then the cooling aspect. Someone mentioned air-cooled, but I actually honestly have no idea. I mean, if it's a massive site that needs massive amount of cooling, what does that air cooling look like? Is it a massive amount of wind turbines that cause a lot of disruption to airflow and noise issues? So we'll have to make sure that our performance standards are there. Beyond that, look at size, and I have some other ideas in my, that I want to consider in other topics. So, similar with other ordinances, obviously welcome all your questions and concerns, and if anyone has more knowledge of this, we welcome that. But I would like to, at least for our initial, when we get to the point where you feel like you've provided me enough information, I would like to make a presentation, provide you with a draft, so that way you can react to the draft. I don't want us to necessarily spin our wheels too long and go back and forth. I think looking at a draft first, and then you can indicate, all right, I like all these things, wait, we're missing this, and what do we can tweak to that? And then finally, I will say that, while it does seem like it's a hot topic now, apparently within the Great Lakes region, believe it or not, Ohio and Illinois actually right now have a majority of the data centers in the area. Michigan is starting to get some, but it's not as much. But then nationwide, it appears that the Great Lakes region is kind of a focus of these, mainly because of our climate. They don't have to spend the bill as much for cooling it on a day like today. And I don't know how the water factors into that issue too, but that would be something. And then for some reason, Virginia was another one. And then for some reason, Texas was. Texas, I presume it's probably because of the wide open spaces, for lack of a better term. Actually, cooling of those must be pretty ominous in there. I think Texas has like 30%. Virginia's got like 20%. The 8 states in the Midwest, the Great Lakes area, had about 50 to 60, and then the rest were just spread out sporadically around the country. But the number in the state currently aren't that high. So I think it's a good time. This is a good time to do it. Good time to address it before we get anyone that is knocked on the door. Sorry.
Oh, that was very good.
Please, welcome any and all questions and concerns, so we can make sure every topic is addressed.
Thank you. Very good. I think, I guess we probably should just maybe go down the list and just share your thoughts and concerns. But I think one thing we want to think about is, you mentioned the first draft. I think that's like a good first action. Maybe we should think about a date that we want a first draft and what information we need to give Mario to put in it. He's got to start with something. We want to give him stuff to think about, and then he can come up with that draft. But when is that? And then also, we got to think about when do we want to have this done? I mean, the moratorium's 6 months. There's no, that could be extended as long as we keep working on it, but we just want to keep that in mind, And then, once we give that information to Mario and he makes the changes, review and make the changes, they can drag on. So, I think at some point, Mario, we'll probably be asking you for a schedule and outline, but I don't know if we're there yet. So, go ahead, and anyone that has any thoughts.
Yeah, I have some questions, right? So I think we kind of need to level set kind of expectations here. And as far as data centers are concerned, right, that seems to kind of be the buzzword that I'm seeing and I'm listening to and watching on Facebook and everywhere else. And I think, to get the facts out there is a really important first step. When I go and I see kind of what they were putting, they were attempting to put within the Howell area, that's what we call a hyperscale data center. Yep. Now that's something completely different. So now, and those are going to be things that you're going to get a lot of your cloud providers like GCP, AWS, Azure, all those, right? So my first question really is, what is this ordinance going to surround? Is it surrounding all data centers, like colos, small colos? Is it going to be, for hyperscale data centers, right? That actually, run some sort of, regional cloud, right? Within AWS or Azure or whatever, right? Is this something that is just massive, what we call big data, right? I'm going to use a buzzword, or is this just something for just small, as I said, colo, right? So I think that we need to kind of first level set that. If we know the scale, we can kind of adjust. But that's just my personal opinion. Like, what are we going for here? Where there's a lot of differences with what each does, and are you trying to just take a broad brush stroke, or are you trying to really just drill down on one type? Right? Are we just trying to prevent like the larger ones, or are we trying to prevent the small ones even? So
I think, we could have different regulations for different sizes or different types or something like that, but we're not gonna say, we're gonna allow these or not allow these. I don't think so. I think we would be at risk for a situation like Saline, when they got basically a lawsuit for exclusionary zoning, and then
Right.
the planning commission didn't review and approve
So
it,
we
they
need to
just
do
put
a
in.
big
So,
brush stroke.
But,
Well, the reason I said
I don't think we can just say we don't want this size. I mean,
okay.
they,
I'll be honest, not sure just yet. It would be treacherous to go that route. But I definitely agree with the course of the conversation and the idea that yes, we have to look at them and understand their characteristics. And then really, I think the issue we'll get to when the impact of the use will be bigger than the area is planned for. I think that'll be part of it. So like something like a colo is something that sometimes it's just part of an average office complex, or even just a retail, or just as in the the general local area. So something like that, we'll have to find ways to determine it. We'll have to learn about, is it just, can it still run just on an average grid, or does it need the electrical use just require an extra, amp service, or does it go up exponentially? We'll have to learn that. But you're absolutely right. Looking at the size will be important, and then looking at regulations based on their size, I think, will be important.
Well, the reason I say, and I wanted to focus on size is because each data center is going to have different variables. Like for instance, is the cooling going to be like a closed loop geocooling? Is it cooling going to be some sort of hybrid? Is it cooling going to be all air cooled? Is it good? Then we have to think of nuisance factors that could take place into that. There's a variety of different things that go through my head when we go and bring this up, and without discussing the size. And the size, you don't really know the limitations that the controls that you can kind of put around it. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm a professional. I do work in the industry, but I don't work in that industry, but I work in a corresponding industry. And I just don't think that, that's just my opinions. So I'll tell you, I'm not by any, I don't know all of this particular topic, but I actually put a list of things down today of things that I do know when I used to work in that field. So
I guess my general concerns, actually I have a lot of concerns, but my biggest would come to location, and it's going to depend on the size, right? The reason I'm worried about location, the most obvious reasons are the impact on the surrounding, residents, and the water is a great example, because intuition might think, well, they're willing to pay for and maintain a well, that's great, except for the fact that I almost think that could be worse. It seems like we might want them on, public water, assuming that, but is that going to overload the system? And I don't know the answer to that. So I think
We don't have public water in this.
yeah, we don't, but I think it's a concern saying, we don't want a data center because we don't have public water.
Right.
Because guess what they're gonna do, is Fenton Township just connected to Carrignandi Water, which is a huge straw out of Lake Huron, 10 foot, 12 foot, whatever it is. Fenton Township just connected into that. I think City of Linden did too. So what if they said, oh, we'll connect into it?
all they got to do is
Then-
run it down the highway.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if that solves their issue, and that was our only concern, not that it is, but, that could be a reality.
Yeah.
But that is, it's a good point, Bill. We don't have public water as of right now, and
The other issue would be the discharge. I don't know if it comes out contaminated.
there's concerns of that. I've heard that within the engineering industry that there's concerns and research being done on that.
Yeah, it seems like some of the ones on the west coast are having some of that, because I'm interested in to know where the long-term ones exist, and if there are any ideas about their impact. They've been operating for a while, right? What has and hasn't occurred.
I mean, I know
Something like that.
like LAX 1, which is outside of LAX in California. That one's an old one, right? I think they were running like GCP and Azure and AWS. Actually, literally the big three. There's like 8 telco providers that go into that. So they're an old one. But then there's like Chicago, I think it's like CH1. That's running like 13 telcos. I can't even remember. I know like US Signal's one of them, and a variety of other ones. So the thing is that there are a bunch of like old ones that are still being used today and that have scaled out and that do a great job. But these are more, within cities. So just, maybe when you're doing your research, definitely check those ones out. I wish I could remember. I know there's like one in Houston, one in Atlanta. The ones that I'm thinking of, right? There's a variety of different ones, but there's like Houston, Atlanta, Chicago, LAX, and that's the one that I used to know. It was the LAX one. But yeah, it's just something to think about.
So was the one in Howell like 1,000 acres?
Approximate, I've heard that, approximate 1,000 acres.
Yeah, that's definitely a hyperscale one. Right?
Yeah.
We're talking
That
thousands
was,
of
that was,
thousands of
came out, that, or it was leaked or rumored that was Facebook, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was gonna be Meta, and I think they just said they were pulling out.
Yeah,
For now.
They did for now.
For now.
Yeah,
right.
but there's a moratorium in place. From what I understand, could be wrong. There's a moratorium in place that got approved before they pulled out, and then they pulled out. And so now they're going to have to wait. I could be wrong, but that's just how I read it. And if I'm wrong, then I apologize. Again, I try not to put any misinformation out.
So I have a few questions. When you say older, I'm pointing.
Oh, me? Oh, okay.
When you say older, like this LAX one,
Yeah.
how old? Because
I mean, that was still when I, before I left that godforsaken state, I lived there between 2007 and like 2011, I think, or 2010, so for 3 years. And so we're talking, it's at least that old.
Okay, because they're saying they have a life of 15 to 20 years.
Oh, no, it's longer, way longer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these things, I knew this one was there long before I was there.
The Mundy Township site that is up there, they're saying it's for manufacturing, but I'm guessing they could also do a data center there?
I believe they don't want to, they want to hold out for the jobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's
What
not
I've
many
heard.
jobs that come from
Yeah.
any
Yes.
sort of data center. I mean, we're talking like, out of big data centers, you're gonna get, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, up to 50 jobs.
Very
That's-
low.
And
Very low jobs.
well, they're not low-paying jobs either. I do want to make sure that that's.
A low number of jobs.
Oh, yeah, a very low number of
After
jobs
it's-
for such a large area, yeah.
Well, just if anybody wants to get an idea of what 1,000 acres looks like, that's Elms Road to Maple Road to Linden Road to Hill Road, and our vet's there, and we've been there several times, and homes are being demolished.
Are we
people are
sure it's
being
1,000
moved out.
acres? That
Yes,
seems
it
like
is.
That's 1,000.
really.
It's
It
a-
might be
No,
more.
I mean,
That might be.
I mean that they want 1,000 because I've never.
They're getting more, they get more all the time. It might be like more towards 1,200 now, I don't know, but.
For a data center?
No, that's for the
For
mega
the
site.
site.
Oh, right,
The
right.
AMD,
Okay.
mega site, but
Okay.
that one also, I think, has, opportunities with the highway, airport, railroads, the water, Carrignandi, so I think they indicated they're holding out and that. But
I was
Dennis-
just wondering if that would be some kind of a strategy, that you've got this area,
It's massive.
right, that's right next
Yeah.
door. And, okay.
Oh, I'm sure they're probably approaching them, but
Yeah, okay. Mario, can a township like de-incentivize, or does that have to come from the state level? Like if you are going to build here, you have to have renewable energy to help replace it.
So that's one thing I'm exploring. So it's just a thought I had, you know, I admit I haven't run this past any of my colleagues, but so when looking at you know, what we would regulate and why we would regulate it, to me, the issue can be, like, if it's a small enough scale and if it's appropriate for the area, and it doesn't have bring itself an automatic negative impact, then it seems like we probably, you know, should allow them as some type of area. But we need to get the numbers on it. It's when those numbers get to the point when it's a dramatically impactful site that could negatively address future land use. And to me, and that is an impact on the community. So the idea would be, so similar to how they've been doing things in Detroit, actually, where when some large projects come in and they want to either get large tax incentives or they large impact on traffic or large utilities, when they ask for a larger amount of impact than is from the average level of development that occurs, they do what's called the community betterments ordinance. So like when a project meets a specific criteria, they have to come up. The township would adopt an ordinance that says when you meet X, Y, and Z, one X, Y, and Z, you have to sit down with local residents, and we can create the committee, and that's really to come up with a community benefits ordinance to offset those large impacts. So that might be one way to do it. I'll be honest, it's you know, we talked about it at the last planning conference, and it's mainly been in urban areas, and it's mainly because the amount of infrastructure improvements and the tax incentives that they always ask for. Here, they wouldn't be asking for tax incentives. One of the things we have to deal with is the fact that the state part of the reason they're also coming in is the state granted tax incentives for these. And that's another reason why they're starting to come in more, so that we can't affect. But there's other local things that we can ask for. I'm interested to see if that's a possibility.
So it's funny you mentioned that. That was one of the things that I put up there was, or two that I have in my notes here. I gotta try to find it now. Is having regular reports from everything from water to right, like water and contamination. In fact, that's a standard across everyone that I've known. They have to have like water reports, contamination reports. In fact, you can even go to datacenters.google, and you can take a look at their whole thing about operating on a sustainable. I mean, that's just verbiage to me, right? It's marketing jargon, but they have so much percentage of clean energy that they use within there that they try to offset, right? That they have to use. I don't know here, I'm looking right here. It says since 2010, we've signed over 170 agreements to purchase more than 22 gigawatts of clean energy worldwide and invested over $3.7 billion in clean energy projects and partnerships. These efforts have allowed us to maintain a 100% renewable energy match on a global basis every year since 2017. So, and that's just coming from Google. So all I'm trying to do is just put the information out there, whether or not, you know, I don't want to, I'm not trying to set like any precedent or anything. I'm just trying to state that, you know, there is going to be some sort of, no matter which route we take, most data centers already have that that clean energy stuff in place, so it just, goes back to, I don't know how does it affect, obviously we did a big deal on this whole solar farm thing. How is it going to affect any of that? I mean, because we have it pretty much just squared down to small areas where they can be. Hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, but how is it going to affect it? Can they just kind of jump right in and say, hey, this is our property now, and we can put it wherever we want because we have this mandate to the state or whatever? How does that work?
Oh, you mean in terms of the whole Creo issue?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately with the Creo issue, it's one of those things that the legislature wants to get behind it. There might be nothing we can do about it, at least if they take a similar approach. But that's why I'm interested in the community benefits ordinance route, because I think, like you mentioned, some of these data centers do mention that, and it's a good thing in terms of a global aspect. But I think we have to make sure that at the local level, at the township level, that the township sees some of that benefit, because the direct impact could be more felt here. So we want to make sure we protect them here.
Right.
And then honestly, one of the things when I was thinking about this is that when it comes to data centers, we can talk about solar, if it's wind, if it's any other, to me, we either have to take the same approach that we did with the solar, so that way we're consistent.
Yeah.
So that way we're not discriminating, perceived as discriminating for one use versus another. And we'll have to get attorney opinions whether that's a good approach. But to me, I think that also means that the community benefits can be should be required for any large-scale development that wants to come in. Because we can't control the real estate market. These people create a bunch of different LLCs and they buy up a bunch of property, and then they assemble it all. That's honestly one of the aspects that's probably beneficial for Tyrone compared to some of these other lots, other communities, is like nobody's coming in and buying, 500 acres with one transaction, generally speaking. We might have a few, but, they might have to deal a lot more with one assembly. So that approach for these companies will be part of their initial thing when it comes to the hyperscale. But then on the other end, it might not be. So we can't control that. If them coming in and then saying, okay, we're doing this and we're going to apply it this way. We just, they might have enough money, even probably, the hyperscale ones do have enough money for they can just actually buy instead of just getting options on the land, like a more, like another approach. But I do think that that's one of the things we have to concern ourselves with, is making sure that the approach we take is consistent. And so I think they might, because I would see that as an idea that they would have, is like, well, you were going to do solar here, well, we're basically the same thing. Or, maybe we'll just put solar on top, data centers under the top. Solar on top of the data center, something like that.
Right. And I've seen, there's a lot of data centers that do that too.
Right, which actually does make sense too.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
I
like that a lot.
Yeah.
So are they tax exempt like solar?
They're not tax exempt. I believe what it is that they got, and I don't know the language, I shouldn't say, but I believe the last one that received an exemption, they got an exemption, they had a 50% tax rate on this, but I'm not sure. You would think they would only be at the state level, in the state level of taxes. I'm not sure if they have the authority even to go in and then tell all the other taxing authorities, oh, by the way, you're giving up 50% of your taxes too. I don't think that's it'd have to be like a TIF, and I don't know if they have that authority. But yeah, it'd be something.
So the state's big incentive is the abolishing sales tax for all of your construction purchases.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, 50%, at least the last one they received was 50%.
Okay.
And the reason they did that is because they saw, in Ohio and Illinois, that they were getting more and more, and then they want to incentivize it to come here. So I think that's why we're starting to see them, because now it's on the books.
Is that for all or just brownfields? I thought it was just brownfields.
I'm not sure, I'll have to find out. That's a good point, actually. very good point.
Someone told me that over around the lake area that these data centers are, these data center companies are buying large amounts of land around, what I mean around like Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, et cetera, and using that as like cooling as well. Do you know like the percentage of that area that's being?
No,
Okay.
actually.
Or do you know how many? Okay.
They, from what I heard, the study that I heard about, they were saying that, like you said, it was Ohio, so I don't think they were more in the Cleveland area per se. So
Okay.
I don't know if they were going right into Lake Erie. But then, the others, at least the ones in Michigan, as far as I know, they were saying that ours are actually pretty small compared to the others so far.
Right.
So I don't know if they've done that yet, but, so that'd be something we have to look into. I mean, in terms of, once again, for our local ordinance and for Tyrone, seeing if, how the water issue, and how that water, how they might negatively impact the aquifer and any contaminants they be letting loose.
One thing that I've seen or heard, and I would like, we got something to look into, I don't know if, Mario, you know, but are we allowed to regulate the large quantity water withdrawal? Is that something a local government can make? And I'm just putting it in here, I can send you this, but Great Lakes Preservation Act. A local unit of government shall not enact or enforce an ordinance that regulates a large quantity withdrawal.
I get the feeling you're probably right, but because as far as the one issue that I'm kind of familiar with is, I don't remember the brand, but over on the west side of the state, your Big Rapids, is it Mountain Spring or one of those?
Oh, the water company.
Yeah.
The bottom
Yeah.
company.
Nestle.
Thank you.
Nestle.
Nestle is, yeah, and I can't remember what brands they do, but they just.
Like
stick a big
Ice
straw.
Mountain. And,
Ice
Yeah.
Mountain, yes, Ice
Yeah.
Mountain. They just a big straw on the ground near Big Rapids, and they're just
It's,
sucking out as much water as they
my
want.
goodness, what's the, yeah, it's over at, we passed it, it's off, what's that one highway that goes across Midland? 10? 10, the 10. So they're off the 10 there at Everett.
Okay.
So they have like a bottling plant. I pass it all the time when I.
So that'd be something to look into, you know, what can we regulate?
Yeah.
Can we regulate, we can't tell them no, but can we say, you gotta do this study and make sure the aquifer drawdown is not this, and take this precaution and really tighten it up to any, you know, get some engineers involved and help us figure out a language that we can say, we're not saying you can't do it, but here's the rules.
And that, in my mind, is what I would be saying, like, all right, you have to give us all your characteristics, how big is this gonna be, what are you gonna be doing, how much water are you taking out, all right? Part of the community benefits agreement, tell us how you're gonna replenish that, tell us how,
Yeah.
tell us, provide impact on the rate of, and I think they can measure the size of the water aquifers, so if they can measure that size of aquifers, like use certain X percentage, right, but they're gonna fix this, because I would think what it would work out is to say, all right, if the water level of the aquifer drops below X percent, then you have to, meter your rate accordingly. But if there's natural rain, and if they're lucky enough, and the water, the aquifer does replenish itself, then they can go back to what they were doing before. So that way, once again, it's working with them and doing it. So that's
And
an idea I haven't necessarily seen yet in other ordinances.
I'm shooting from the hip here. I haven't looked at the issue, but, to me, it seems like what we would regulate would be the adverse impact on the surrounding, residents as compared to the actual withdrawal itself.
Yes.
So, I would like to think that would be our path around something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just like anything, I know Kevin here's got a list of some nuisances. We can all probably come up with some, but each nuisance, we got to think about, what we need, what we want, potential nuisance, and how we can mitigate it or protect residents.
Bro, I got 6 pages of nuisances.
Well,
The newest one I'm aware of is the Kalkaska one.
Yeah, there's one.
And
in
it's kind of
Kalkaska.
an interesting one to watch. I mean, that's very different from Tyrone, but also similar in some ways because there's a lot of natural beauty up there too.
A lot of oil there too.
Yeah, what I understand, that was supposed to be closed loop somehow, so like
Yep.
geothermal type.
Geothermal.
But it's something to look at anyway, so.
Yeah, so maybe guys, just some things to think about when thinking about nuisances, right? So like obviously noise, your typical stuff like noise, light pollution, aesthetics and landscaping, traffic, and then we have to think about water usage, power consumption, heat and air exhaust, stormwater and impervious surfaces, certain fire risks. Do we have, the general ability at this point to do stuff like that? I mean, right out the gate, I think we stated that we couldn't even handle a solar farm or a battery storage facility. Battery storage, yeah.
Lithium batteries and.
Yeah, with the lithium batteries, right? That's something to think about.
That could be a community benefit issue, like saying, right, you have to provide the local fire service with the appropriate equipment to handle
Yeah.
any kind of storage, like,
Right.
even if they have like, robots moving around and, because those guys, the robots stick in charging pods and everything, so.
Right.
I don't think they actually do, but anyway.
But then there's hazardous materials too, right? Like, for instance, you're gonna have backup generators, right? There's gonna be diesel in many cases. And, now we have to think about how much fuel is being stored on site, and of course, any secondary containment requirements, and any spill response, right? There's hazmat stuff that we have to think about. I don't know, like, going back to the whole battery thing, if you think that, like, battery storage with solar farm is gonna showcase a lot of batteries, yeah, try going into a data center, right? That's massive. Right, because everything's on a UPS, and those UPSs have UPSs, right? Like there is a series of backups, right? Because this is people's data. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna rant for a second, but man, AI really screwed us over the amount of just sheer processing power that it takes to just process what we call in AI, we call tokens. But to process those tokens are just chunks of text, right? There's like prompt tokens and a variety of other things, but just to process those tokens, it just takes a sheer amount of CPU, or rather GPU usage, plus a variety of other specialized hardware. AI's really set us back a lot, and really has kind of pushed a urgency, I should say, on these sort of these things. So I have to commend the board for giving us a moratorium. So we need to definitely be pushing on that. But again, and I think another thing that we have to think about here is appropriate zoning districts of where this thing should be set. Buffer zones, building design standards, minimum employment. Right? Do we have is that something that we can that we can set? As far as a township, how much minimum deployment does something have, or minimum employment, excuse me, and then just the community impact reporting, right? So things like noise, traffic, water, power demand estimates, stormwater plan, emergency services, load analysis. These are the sort of things that I came up with, and then I kind of going off a little bit of what Sally stated, right? I'm not downing anything that you say, but I love you. If these hyperscale things are 15, 20 years, what happens when they leave, right? What's the obsolescence for those, and then the long-term decommissioning, right? So I know with EI, we did something about requiring a bond, some sort of financial guarantee. I know that there was a decommissioning plan and an environmental cleanup responsibility associated for that. Right? These are the sort of things I just kind of jotted down that I think that is something that may be worth looking into.
So, regarding the location, the current ordinance, which our moratorium is on data centers, so that's within, my understanding is Pyro, There's three
It's
different
Pyro District.
pyro designations.
Or is it considered industrial?
Somewhere I saw pyro, I don't
Well,
remember where.
it's permitted, it's special land use within pyro, I believe. So, that equates to our future land use map of planned industrial. So basically, this industrial, the three, not three, but essentially two locations around an existing industrial. So that's a pretty small area, I would say. Do we need to look at, similar to what we did on solar? Now, solar, they were giving us the numbers, and we're equating megawatts to acres with some, rough estimates or whatever. But now it's like, a data center could be the size of this building, or it could be the size of 1,000 acres, right? So, how do we protect our township to have, something that's not unreasonable? If it's unreasonable, the judge is gonna decide, but we need to make it reasonable. So,
Yeah.
but does every township have to allow a 1,000-acre data center, hyper data center? I don't know that answer. If you don't allow that, are you exclusionary zoning? I don't know, but.
I think it will all depend on the how specific we get with regards to those quantities. And I do think we're probably gonna have to take a look at the master plan again. And
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be to me, that's the best foundation to hang your hat on, basically. The best thing to hang your hat on is to make sure the master plan, we've addressed this is what we're saying, and then when it comes to something, larger than that, at some point, you would.
But is
I think it'll depend on, consultation with what we think is the most effective strategy, and then, our confidence in that strategy. Because like you said, at some point, why should we be permitted to require, like, there's 1,000 in every township? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
From a land use standpoint. And I do think that.
But if you don't have a trailer park, you're gonna get a judgment. So, so I just don't, that's how they come about. So we just gotta figure it out, look into it. So the master plan, what would be the part of the master, like, would we wanna change our future land use map? Right now, we're saying, okay, this use, the current ordinance saying this use is industrial. Okay, here's our industrial area.
Overlay?
Or overlay.
Yeah.
Because if we said, well, we want to expand where these could go because we want it to be potentially reasonable to stand up, well, then you're also expanding all industry, right?
Right.
Or you do overlay, which only is specific for that use.
Yep.
So, I don't, some things, sometimes you put out an overlay map and then, people think that it's a done deal and there's a development coming in,
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't say that out loud, apparently.
It's important to understand things, but, it just thoughts, on location, that's just one thing, location. Maybe we don't want it where we currently have the industrial, it's all thought, so. What action do we want to give Mario for the next meeting?
Man,
Or ourselves?
there's just so much. I'd just like to see a timeline at this point.
All right, I
Based
think
on
so.
based
That's a
on
good point.
just some of the stuff, I don't even know if that's even feasible.
Well,
at this
draft
point.
a timeline, and then we'll have our comments, and would you guys expect to have this complete? I mean, we dragged on some things before, but this is a very important one, and it's under moratorium, so.
And when's it up?
It's up in 6 months,
6
but
months.
they can, if we continue progress on it, it can be, I believe it can be renewed. I think it even states that in the moratorium.
Yeah,
One renewal?
Well, I think it does stand that, doesn't it? But, I guess regardless of when that moratorium is up, when do you guys think it's reasonable to get this done, to have all of our discussions, review drafts, make changes, get all our comments done, schedule a public hearing, hold a public hearing, vote on it, send it, recommend to the board and send it to the county, and then the board adopt it, you know, so there's time.
I mean, when you say it like that, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
For me, it's hard to know when we
Yeah.
don't necessarily know what the scope of the
I was gonna
project.
say,
I know.
We need to know
Yeah.
the
So,
scope
it
first.
just-
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You know, and I think, because I agree, I think a timeline's a great idea, but if we don't put an end date on it, at least right now, I mean, we could always put an end date on it when we know a little bit more.
we
'Cause-
could just extend the end date out, right?
Right.
We can be like, okay, moratorium 6 months. Let's just say, I don't know, like a year from now. I mean, I take a look at the MMA and how long that took, right? Like, we were working on it every single time. It was an old business. We only, I think, missed one meeting that got canceled. Every other meeting, we had it on. We worked on it the whole time endlessly, right? And I remember, you know, just, I'd come in and like, oh, well, it's MMA time again, right? Like, I'd get that packet and then know that it was an old business. So I honestly think that, you know, if we do as good of a job as we did with like EI,
EI was
EI
great.
was so phenomenal.
EI was great.
That was something that I think was just a shining gold star. I think we are all proud of, and not only are we proud of it, but even Livingston County planners proud of it. So
Yeah.
I think that I think that yeah. I mean, I want to take my time like we did with EI.
What do you think
This is
about
not something to mess
saying,
around with.
what does the schedule look like to have it adopted in 6 months?
Right.
And then we can see
Right.
there, how many drafts do we have?
Yeah.
And how many
Exactly.
meetings?
Maybe just
So-
see where we're at in 6 months and just push
work
it up.
backwards from adopting
Yeah.
it within the moratorium. And then, you know, if you need to work with Ross on the planning, he's got internal stuff, he's gotta get signatures, he's gotta send it to the county, work back from the public, board meeting, and see how much time we have to work with you on drafts.
Yep.
If that's not enough, then we can go from there.
I'd also like to see what examples some other.
I don't think,
Is there
there's not
any-
much out
yeah,
there.
is
that
there
I've found.
anything out there at this point?
In Michigan, I haven't found much. I've seen some in Pennsylvania,
Right.
in other
Actually,
states.
Yeah, there are a
I
lot
don't-
nationwide, and I'm interested to find, I just asked one of our planners to focus on Ohio and Illinois, because they're close by, and
Yeah.
supposedly they have more than us, and just to know how they've done that. Believe it or not, there are out there, but as far as I know, what he said, they vary greatly.
Can I expand
It is
expand your scope instead of where Ohio and Illinois are? Could we expand it to like where there currently is maybe a hyperscale? You know, like just add on to it, right? Like maybe where a hyperscale is, see what they did, maybe if they made any changes, you know, after it came in. And I'm really curious to see what some of those conversations were had.
I believe.
What helps me the most is to look at a draft, but I also don't want to send Mario down a
Down a
rabbit
path.
hole.
No, we
Right,
gotta give
yeah.
direction.
So, and
So
that's
I think-
actually, my point is, you know, and I'm not trying to pass the ball necessarily, but whatever Mario needs to know from us in order to be able
Yeah.
to pull together a draft, I think would be an important thing for us to know the answer to, so.
Well, I got a question. It might be, Zach, maybe you can help me or Mario, but like, how can we have like I'm thinking, Kevin has this list of nuisance factors, and we talked about some, and I got a list here. How can we work on a list and kind of add to that without, you know, with being transparent within the open meetings act?
Right.
Because that's something that Ross can handle?
I
Or-
think, yeah, the best way to do it
Is have Ross handle
each
it?
Each of you provide your list
Eat
to Ross.
comments to Ross.
And then
That's what
Ross
I-
will provide it all to me.
Okay.
And then I think the best thing to do is then like, start laying the structure.
Okay.
So like, that's probably the one thing I would probably think definitely should do is definitely go with what you said on the schedule. Then also provide an initial structure.
Yeah, I like to see the structure. Maybe it's definitions at the front, right? And then we can add in, hey, you need to have, Kevin knows all the acronyms, I don't even know what COLA is, but
Co-location.
All right, co-location, okay. So, that draft structure, so like, and then you get into like, maybe there's a section in, I don't know how it would go, but like, utilities, water, noise, setbacks, location, lighting, all those factors.
Absolutely. And to let you know, so far, some of the ones that we've been looking at are in, that's Washington, Utah, Massachusetts, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, Washington again, Maryland again, Virginia.
I'm so interested in the
Maryland,
Utah one.
Which one?
I'm so interested in the Utah one. If you, can you shoot me an email with that information?
Vernal, Utah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Thank you.
I think you said Virginia, this is all data centers right here.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's by Dulles Airport.
It's by Dulles, yeah.
Yeah, these are all data centers.
Yep.
Wow.
I wouldn't think from a security standpoint that'd be a great idea.
Probably not.
No,
Those homes right there?
Oh yeah, they got homes over there.
Yeah, there's the employees, no.
you just have to put one electrical.
There's probably some apartments in there. And you look at them, some, like,
they're all in the
the
same
building
grid.
doesn't look huge, but like, then you go to like the street view and it looks like an Amazon warehouse.
Yeah,
And then some data centers, I think, are like 6 stories, which I would hope that we would not want to allow, but we'd want to think about height too.
yep.
So,
Can't you put them in the ground?
Some of them
I've
do.
heard that
Some of them have-
consideration.
some of
Then you
them
can
have
use that
SLs.
for cooling,
You would think?
Yeah, they do geothermal closed loop, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there are some that do that.
instead of putting them 6 stories high, put them 6 stories down.
Oh, you're talking about,
I'm
like,
sure
yeah,
it's
they have sub-level
Possible.
data centers.
This is way over my head, so I'm just being honest with you, this is crazy.
All right, so, any other discussion on data centers for today?
Just wanna cry thinking about it.
I would suggest we each continue our research. If you have an idea or something we want looked at or something like that, email it to Ross. I
Did
think that-
everybody get
Is that
the,
appropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
did everybody get that study? I don't know that.
Yeah,
I saw
okay,
everybody's
good
name
point.
on it.
Yep.
that study was sent to me by a resident, and it's University of Michigan, what happens when data centers come to town.
Oh, yeah, I got that.
So, one thing I thought was interesting is about, basically, they're pushing solar with it. So to me, I feel like you get hit with a double whammy. Okay, you got a data center, now you gotta allow the solar,
And that's kind of the
you know,
reason, like, after studying why I brought that
yeah,
up
I
with
get it.
Mario.
They use a lot of electricity, but you get hit with the data center, they're like, well, now we got to build a solar field right by it. The other half of the township. So I would say I'm not in huge support of that study. The little bit I read of it, but it's got some good information in there. Anyway, I think was that emailed to everyone?
I don't think so.
Can you ask Ross to email it to everyone?
Sure.
If you don't mind. I think that's the best way to go through Ross. And then Ross can individually send it out as he
all of
feels,
us. Yep.
if that's appropriate.
And if you guys want, like, I can give this to Ross, and then if he wants to shoot it out to you guys or whatever, just kind of read what I put down, maybe add your notes to it. if you
That's what I
want.
was always
For,
saying.
like,
How can we work on your
collaborate.
notes next week when I'm available, or
Right.
tomorrow night in the middle of the night? But still, so send it to Ross.
But yeah, that's a great idea.
Um,
Let him collaborate it all.
Okay, final call on data center discussion. Okay, thanks, Mario, that really helped us, and we'll keep it on the agenda from here on out. Okay, moving on to new business, item 3, election of officers. It's been 1 year since we had the last election of officers. Per our bylaws, the term should be 1 year. The officers are currently myself, chairman, vice chairman Kevin Ross, and secretary Bill Wood. Any discussion on officers?
Is there anyone who's unwilling to continue in their position? I guess would be my only question, so.
I'm willing to.
I am willing as well.
So we'll open it up for nomination of chairman.
I'll go ahead and renominate you.
I'll support.
So we just need to do a nomination and support and then vote?
I guess we would
Is there a
say,
nomination and a vote?
we make the nomination, so we have a nomination,
Yeah.
and then we need a motion to appoint or.
Okay, appoint, that's right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
any other nominations? Hearing none, and then someone would need to appoint.
I'd be happy to make a motion to appoint you as chair.
I'll support that.
Motion and support to appoint myself as chairman of the planning commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to vice chair.
Excuse me, Zach made the motion.
I support it.
Second, you did, you
Yes.
supported.
All right,
Support
yeah,
that.
let's make them clear and loud so Terry can hear us. Moving on to vice chair, I nominate Kevin Ross to be vice chair for another year.
I support it.
So that we should appoint it again.
Any other
Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none. So I'll make a motion to appoint Kevin Ross as vice chairman of the planning commission.
Support it.
Bill supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Kevin Ross, vice chairman. Moving on to secretary.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll nominate Bill Wood to continue being secretary. You've done a very good job over the last year.
And I'd support that. I think it's-
Any other nominations for secretary? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to appoint Bill Wood as the secretary of the planning commission.
Support. I don't know who was first.
Zach supported. Motion in support to elect Bill Wood as the secretary of the planning commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, same three. Moving on to old business, item 1, accessory structure regulations. So usually Ross will give us a little update where we're at on this ordinance. He is out today. So basically, we've just been working on this revisions to the accessory structure regulations in the zoning ordinance based on numerous applications for increased accessory structure size. What else they've been based on accessory structure location, setback, and I think one thing we tasked Ross with, which I don't know if he sent me, I sent you the email, that about the variances that are for the location in the setbacks. Of course, as you know from the meeting earlier, the increases accessory structure size from 800 to 1,200 is approved by the planning commission. And as you see there, we had another one today. I don't know how it turned out, but they've usually been approved and haven't found any issues with them. Did that one get approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Ross sent us that to look at. Let me pull that up. I believe it was 21.02G. And so this one was the criteria that we went through earlier, or you guys went through. I was not part of it. So, I mean, you guys went through the exercise, and we've done it many times before. What do you think? Is it something that we are just are looking to have it administratively approved, similar to the 800 square feet, go up to 12?
I personally don't have a problem with it. I think it definitely takes a load off the PC by doing it that way.
I don't know if I misunderstood, but I was thinking we were getting some kind of a chart based on
Yeah,
acreage and.
Okay, let me go to the packet. Yeah, sorry, hang on.
Because it is a burden for the residents to do this if we're constantly.
Yeah, that was the point. I mean, Ross brought it up to us originally.
And if you
So
have had
we've had
hundreds of these.
we've had the discussions. Sorry, I should have started with this agenda packet.
So I wonder if we could put that in the accessory buildings, that they gotta match the house.
There we go. So we can while we're changing the ordinance, we can add some of that in there,
So,
and that can be Ross can just say, yeah, that it's got to match, and he's got to approve that. You know,
That's my
just
primary, right.
just like building 800 square foot. There's still stuff in there, I believe, that you got to match. Or I don't know, but we can relook at those
yeah,
concerns and put that in there. But it doesn't need to be the planning commission to make that determination.
And we could structure it too, so that if there's a question in Ross's mind or whoever's looking at it, maybe there's a fallback to the planning commission to appeal isn't really the right word.
Or approved by the subcommittee.
The subcommittee, maybe even better,
And so
yeah.
we just had one of those. There's like a home occupation, and Ross can approve that administratively,
Mm-hmm.
or if he feels it's not perfectly lined up, he can get input from the subcommittee.
Yeah, I like that.
Sorry, just writing some notes.
Would that be in all areas or just?
Well,
R1.
right now, we're talking about, what is it, R1, R2? Lake One, okay,
Okay.
yeah, so,
Okay,
in other,
that makes sense.
other areas, farming, RE, FRRE, you can basically have,
Environmental.
well, you can have as many and biggest size as you want. I mean, you have setbacks and you have lot coverage.
I'm pretty sure you don't even have to pull permits for the farm.
Well, I don't know, because we don't really deal with the permit side, right?
Yeah, but they can
They just build it.
just slap it up.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the table, and that has height maximums. There's a height maximum, I believe it's 35, I'm not certain, but you can have as many and as big as you want, and then, so it's different for different
Right.
zoning districts. Right now, we're just talking about that, the one requirement for R1, R2, LK1, that is maximum of 800 unless the planning commission approves it. So this highlighted areas, this is from the packet, incidental accessory buildings and structures. We talked about this one last time. One accessory building or structure, 100, oh yeah, we still gotta correct that. Square feet or less shall be allowed per lot without a land use permit. And then the gazebos. Okay, so this is, kind of what Ross asked us to go through. Any changes to this? Let me go to that
we were talking about possibly eliminating the gazebos, but,
Yeah, I remember that. Because what's the difference?
well, I kinda like the idea of having the gazebo, cause then you don't have to choose, do I want a shed or a gazebo?
I mean, I
You know
know
what I mean?
gazebos look like sheds.
What?
I said I know gazebos that look like sheds.
Well, true.
I believe the idea was that you have the existing standards for gazebos, but then we talked about, right above that, incidental accessory buildings, changing that from 100 to 200, because that is a building code standard. And then you were trying to kind of consider, do we need separate standards for gazebos if they're already allowing for for an effect, a bonus or an incidental accessory structure, whether that's a shed, whether it's gazebo, they can have that as that accessory structure, like all accessory, like a gazebo or a shed is an accessory structure, but if you have separate regulation of a gazebo, is a little bit more fine regulation. What's the aspect of gazebos that you feel necessary to regulate above and beyond just any other type of accessory structure that's under 200 or 100? Because, the gazebos, they have to meet the same setbacks as any other accessory structure. The height can't exceed 14 foot. And then, right now, you have gazebos is 180. How is that different than just any old incidental accessory structure?
In the usage.
Right, yeah.
That's all I can think of.
The only thing I can think of is like you wanted to let people have a second, like you can get an accessory structure, and then you can also get a gazebo or something like that, you know what I mean? Because it's a different use, it's more of a recreation aspect instead of, because if you did it, I guess somebody would have to choose between one or the other, right? You'd have to choose between a smaller shed or a gazebo. And then you'd want to go that route, then you'd have to change the gazebo section to explicitly say the gazebo can also be an additional accessory structure that's permitted in the use. So that way you get your bonus shed and your gazebo.
Going all the way back to the variance request for front yard, location of accessory structures, and even setback. Here's the in the packet is the list of variance requests for 2025 and 2024. Zach, I know you're fairly new to the ZBA, but I was on it for maybe 4 or 5 years, and I mean that's a lot of more. Is accessory structure, location, now also additions and things, but I'm starting to see a meeting every month now.
We have one next month. I'm not certain that it's.
And a lot of times there's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's, so to share my thoughts, I'm in favor of the drafted ordinance we have for the yard location setback. I think we've discussed this before, but it's nice that all the current members are here tonight, so share your thoughts, I guess, if you're for or against it, or, it's just something that we're working towards from our list, the accessory structure regulations, but we don't want to get too far down, and then someone's like, why do we talk about that,
Like, is this the direction that we want to go?
Yeah.
Continue going down?
That's the question.
I mean, I'm in favor.
I'm in favor of it too. It's just
Yeah.
bring it up again. Now's the time to say thoughts if you're not in favor.
Like, I like the direction
Other
that we're going
ideas.
with it.
My biggest reservation right now was, the harmony with the neighborhood type concept, and we just talked about that. So yeah, I'm in favor.
You talked about it within the previous
No, in the context of, you know, Ross could take a look at it and then the subcommittee could take a look at it if there was an unclear issue, so.
Yeah, so we could add that, you know, I think, earlier we were talking about like the materials and stuff, but,
Right.
even,
And that's what I meant, it could be materials,
Yeah.
but, you know, around, I think the current ordinance is worded something along those lines. Compatibility of accessory structures, yeah.
Because that subparagraph 5 does give a lot of purview for discussions like we've had in the past one. But if you wanted to be a little bit more definitive, you could say accessory structure facade materials shall be consistent with the facade materials of the principal structure. And then that way, then you'll just know that whatever's on the house is going to be on the accessory structure.
yeah, but there's gotta be some flexibility.
Well, and the downside with that is, I mean, we've got, you know, 20-acre parcels where the pole barn's out in the woods and
Yeah,
nobody's
they're
ever
not
gonna-
even, yeah, there could be,
So, yeah,
could be 1,000 feet apart.
This would still be just applicable to the R1, R2,
Right.
Lake 1.
And
So
that,
you know, that's one way to say may, and, you know, just, you know, include that additional, talk about the principal structure too, as a, you know, may match the, shall be compatible, or, you know, may be compatible with the existing principal structure. I think if that's the way you want to go, maybe in our similar tack, you could just direct Ross to provide draft text so we can react to it. Where it changes the process so it's improved, like you guys have been saying, improved, considered administratively, but then the development director has the option to either bring it to a subcommittee or to the full GC.
all right, I'll bring those items up to Ross, and, he can draft some text to keep that, you know, revision going. I do feel this accessory structure regulations is starting to drag on, which this was just something we pulled off our list while we were finished some other business. Now we have, I would say, a really important business of data centers, and, so, but we still should make progress on that.
We need to, yeah, I would say we need to consistently make progress on it
But
because we
it's,
don't want to
it's not,
lose it.
it's not something that's gonna be buttoned up real quick, because the big one out there within accessory structures is the accessory dwelling units, detached accessory dwelling units.
ADUs.
And I think that one's contentious, so we gotta, I'm thinking next time, you know, we'll have this on the agenda, we gotta give, and maybe now's the time, Mario, have you worked on accessory dwelling units yet? I mean, drafting. We've given you thoughts, we've discussed it. I think it would be best to, start drafting. I mean, I know we gotta give you input, so I think, maybe instead of start drafting our own, prepare some previous drafted examples to give us some ideas for some more clear input. But so far in accessory structure regulations, we've kind of went over those first three a lot. We need to keep moving on. Not that we can't go back to them, because we're gonna we're gonna take action on this all at once. So, any other discussion on accessory structure regulations? Hearing none, move to second call to the public. Anyone have any public remarks regarding anything?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Randy Pierce, Heartland Road. It just seems to me like we need to employ a data center to tell us about data centers. It sounds like there's a lot to unpack there. Would you guys consider like a workshop or something once you get the basis of, you know, it just sounds like there's a lot. And I know I'd like to sit in on a workshop. I'm gonna try and educate myself a little bit about this, but I have big concerns about the aquifer infrastructures. I think they should go to blighted areas where there's already infrastructure and do this stuff. Because if you're taking what limited industrial space we have allowed right now, isn't that going to be exclusionary to the other types of businesses that are going to employ more so than something else? You know, so we were talking about exclusionary zoning. It would be just the opposite if you brought them in, because we have such a limited amount of industrial right now. So I just take that into consideration when you're going that route. Again, I'd like to sit in on something, if you guys can recommend any further training or something. I know I got some friends at CEDOM, so I was gonna reach out to and see if there's anything where personally I can educate myself, and then I think we need to educate the public quite a bit about this, because this is gonna be a pretty big issue going forward.
Agree, it's a big issue. As far as workshops, I mean, I know that term is kind of used
Yeah, I know,
interchangeably.
I just-
We have a workshop next week after our regular meeting. It's essentially the same as a meeting, except for we can't take action on any items.
Right, but it's something that you can have, like me as a public can discuss.
Yep.
Or have input on,
Not-
in the structure of a meeting. I can't just pop into an idea.
Not saying that, that's not a bad idea, but that's something that, you know, like, for our master plan, we had some, what do we call those? Not workshops, we called them,
Envisioning session.
visioning
Yes,
sessions.
visioning sessions.
And that, you know, those items, that direction kind of needs to come from the board, because they have cost to it. You got an open
And I know
meeting.
that's probably down the
We
road.
got open meetings and stuff like that, but it's not a bad idea, and, you know, that, you know, maybe that's something that the board's gonna handle or direct, is some type of visioning sessions. But right now, I think if you come across like a training and you think it's important for us to see, shoot it to, the zoning department.
Okay.
The email's on the website, Ross is the director, so if you give it to us, he'll share it. If you give it to Ross, he'll share it with us.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at.
'Cause it's not-
for my own education.
Yeah, do that, and if you come across something, we get emails often on, hey, a resident sent this, look at it.
I got contacts with a couple of guys.
Yeah. But, thanks for your information, thanks for the comment. Any other public comment? Hearing none, move to miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous business? All I know of is the next meeting is a workshop next Wednesday. The items that I will recommend to be on the agenda, to discuss with Ross, is the data centers and accessory structure regulations. Both things that we can work on and not gonna take any action. Any other items to add or on those, or other than those? Okay, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Support.
Motion and support to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
That was a really good meeting, everybody.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you all for your.
2 hours is probably I'd say, good goal. Good.
We wore out the audience.
Maximum.
I know, it's sort of like trivial.
Well, that's,
John, do you
Next
get
after
this or
this.
those?
you gotta give that to Terry.
What's next after this? Crypto mining,
Oh,
stuff like that?
Where are we gonna stop?
Well, so,
My father-in-law lives in Tennessee, and they're, not that this would even happen, I think anywhere in Michigan.
crypto mining.
They have crypto mines set up in
Oh
shipping
my.
containers. So they just like stack these shipping containers and they're mining crypto.
So now we're gonna have, solar on top of data center with crypto mining. I don't know where this is gonna stop, but it'd be great to find
did you
out.
see they actually have like space heaters that double as a crypto miner? So like no, so like because there's a lot of wasted energy.
Right.
So what they do is they use it to mine as well as heat your area.
That's brilliant, honestly.
Except the
I
thing is,
know.
they're like $800 or some crap like that. I'm like, no way.
$30 space heater or $800.
Or like $800 one. They could potentially, but the thing is about like when you mine crypto, like it's it's not like you can just mine like all the, like this one here is for Bitcoin, works on, you know, the Bitcoin crypto. It's just. Right. Oy, oy. That's yours. Okay. Yeah, see, up there.
Kevin,
Yeah.